Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Got your questions regarding Survivor Series and other topics. Let's get started with the first one today from Jared J. Smith. Hey Aaron, could you see there being a swerve at Survivor Series similar to 1998 with Cesaro or Ambrose turning heel? Ever since WWE first announced the title tournament, a lot of people have been looking back at Survivor Series 1998 and thinking there could be a repeat storyline where a top babyface goes heel and becomes the new corporate champion. I could see something like that playing out because WWE is very desperate for a top heel right now. Although they're also desperate for a top babyface, and I think to WWE that is more important. And that's why I do not see Roman Reigns turning heel at Survivor Series unless WWE has a major change of heart. I would be surprised if that happened. The fact that WWE went out of their way to tone down the crowd noise during Raw because of all the boos, and the fact that they piped in cheers for Roman Reigns, very poorly I might add, because it was painfully obvious that the cheers were piped in. It was a rare production screw up by WWE. It was pretty pathetic. But yeah, WWE wants the fans to cheer for Roman Reigns, and I think that they are hell-bent on making it work. So I don't see Reigns being the guy to turn heel. Maybe Ambrose. Ambrose seems like the best option because he's been stale as a babyface, and I think that he would fit in very nicely as the new heel champion, taking Seth Rollins' spotlight, and then when Rollins comes back, he can go after Dean Ambrose for taking his spot. That seems to make logical sense, but WWE and logic don't always go together. Also, you have Cesaro as an option, but I do not see that happening because I think Cesaro is going to lose to Reigns on Raw, and that'll be it for Cesaro. He'll be going back to the mid-card, feuding with Stardust or whatever, and that'll be that. And for all I know, we'll just have Roman Reigns as the new WWE champion. He'll win at Survivor Series, he'll be the new babyface of the company, and that'll be that. Alright, this one comes from Miss Gemma. After the Paige-Charlotte match for the Divas Championship, can you see Becky going up against Charlotte as a heel for the title? I sense that long-term, Sasha Banks will be the major challenger for the Divas title, maybe at WrestleMania. And if that ends up being the case, I could see Becky going for the Divas title on one of the next pay-per-views like TLC or maybe even the Royal Rumble. I could see that happening, and the fact that she did beat Paige on Raw, one would think that that would put her in contention for a Divas title shot. So I can see her getting a title shot, maybe not as a heel. I could just see her facing Charlotte and losing, and then Charlotte moves on to Sasha Banks. I mean, to me, that seems to be the most likely outcome, because I think in the end, Sasha Banks is your top contender and perhaps the next Divas champion with the reactions that she's been getting on television. Alright, this one comes from Jordy. Could you see WWE bringing Samoa Joe to the main roster now that injuries and part-timers are affecting roster depth? Probably not, because WWE had the opportunity to bring in some new faces to the main roster for this WWE title tournament, and they chose not to do that. They could have brought in Samoa Joe, they could have brought in Finn Balor, they could have brought in Baron Corbin, and they didn't do it. No surprises in the WWE title tournament. No surprises at all, period. You would think with Cena out of action and Orton out of action and now Rollins out of action, WWE would have brought up somebody from NXT to shake things up a little bit. Didn't happen. The fact that it didn't happen this week makes me believe that it's probably not going to happen, and WWE will continue to slowly introduce NXT stars to the main roster, but maybe if one more guy gets hurt, WWE will feel desperate and pull the trigger and bring up somebody from NXT. But as of now, I think it's unlikely we'll see Joe on the main roster anytime soon. Hopefully we will see him at some point, but not getting my hopes up on that. Alright, this one comes from Liam Roach. Hey Aaron, what do you think Shane McMahon's best match was? Definitely the 2001 King of the Ring match with Kurt Angle. one of the all-time most violent matches in WWE history. Shane McMahon, being the son of Vince McMahon, for him to go out there and take all that physical punishment, it's quite remarkable. And that match was an all-time classic. Second place for me would be the match against Test at SummerSlam 1999. I thought that was an extremely entertaining match. And of course, SummerSlam 2000, Shane McMahon and Steve Blackman. Shane McMahon taking that huge bump. Shane McMahon had a lot of memorable performances, but those would be my top three. All right, this next one comes from Daniel Fleming. What were your thoughts on the Kane and Daniel Bryan anger management storyline? It was way better than I thought it was going to be. I felt that for the most part with WWE comedy segments, they were misses rather than hits. But in this case, I feel that Daniel Bryan and Kane had the chemistry together and it clicked. This was one of those times where WWE comedy worked. I really enjoyed the segment in the restaurant. I enjoyed the segments with Dr. Shelby. I felt perhaps with two other people it would have been disastrous, but Daniel Bryan and Kane, it just worked well with those guys. They had the chemistry, and I felt that those segments were really well done. Alright, got this question here from John. Hey Aaron, why do you think Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan was not the main event for 1991's Survivor Series and with a weak main event? I believe it was because WWE wanted to end the pay-per-view on a high note. They wanted the fans to be sent home happy in the arena. They wanted the fans ordering the pay-per-view to be happy. And that's why they put Hogan and Undertaker in the middle of the show so you could end the pay-per-view with a happy ending. And I remember as a kid, I was all crying when Undertaker beat Hogan. And that was how WWE operated at the time. Now, I think they're fine with doing controversial endings to pay-per-views. They're not as concerned about ending the pay-per-view on a high note or not. But back then, they were really careful about ending the pay-per-view on a high note. And that's just how they did business back then. And it has changed to a degree over time. I think with the Attitude Era, the idea was whatever happens, happens, and the good guy doesn't always win. Although usually in WWE, they still want the good guy to win as much as possible in the storylines. Alright, this one comes from Cherish Allen. What do you think about Trish Stratus coming out of retirement? I think she, would have one more good match. Please answer in video. If Trish Stratus wants to get back into a WWE ring, I'm all for it. I think that would be a nice touch for her to come back and have one more match if there's the right opponent and if it's something she's really passionate about doing. If it happens, if it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Doesn't affect me one way or another. That's entirely up to her if she wants to come back or not. She seems to be satisfied with how her career went, and I don't blame her. I think that there's really no need to come back unless there was really a good storyline reason to do it, or if she got the itch to come back and do one more match. But if she's going to come back, it should be something significant, I think. Alright, this one comes from Jamie Clark. Would The Miz have had more material to work with against The Rock if he had used his current Hollywood A-list gimmick in 2011? Actually, I think it would have been worse for The Miz, because The Miz trying to act like The Rock would have been a disaster. The Rock would have just torn him to shreds. You really have to be at The Rock's level to compete with The Rock, and if you're not, you get exposed. And I think with The Miz, he had the benefit of being a hot character in 2011. He had some momentum, he had some credibility. Now, it's just ridiculous. And when he comes out there and brags about being a movie star, the thing is nobody buys it. He's just seen as a complete joke. And if he had been like that in 2011, he would have just been completely destroyed by The Rock. Would have been a disaster. Alright, this one comes from I Am Savaged. Hey Aaron, do you think that WWE is going to push Jack Swagger a little bit now since he is in a storyline? Probably not. I think what's going to happen is Alberto Del Rio will make short work of Jack Swagger whenever they have a match. Who knows if they'll even do it at Survivor Series. For all we know, it'll just happen on Monday Night Raw. Del Rio will beat him and then move on to the next guy. I think they just got Jack Swagger involved because of the past history with Swagger and Zeb Coulter. If it wasn't for that, I don't think we would be seeing Jack Swagger on television. They just had an opportunity to put him on television, and that's why Swagger's on television, because the creative team had something for him for once. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it on Facebook and Twitter. Tell a friend about No DQ&A video. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest regarding Survivor Series, all the latest news and rumors. Follow me at twitter.com/NoDQDOTCOM and at Aaron Rift. Same addresses for Facebook, facebook.com/NoDQDOTCOM and facebook.com/Aaron Rift. And on that note, I will see you guys next time for another edition of No DQ&A video.